Baruch Bat Yahuwah, and welcome to our Sukkah. This is a little Sukkah that we put up in our home this year. It is now actually not the day after Sukkot. I was extremely tired after Sukkot, and I was doing all the other videos, so now it's probably about a week and a half to 2 weeks after Sukkot. But nevertheless, I left our Sukkah up so that I could film this video for my family to remember what Sukkot is all about, and for you to learn and to kind of step into our family and see what we believe about Sukkot. We had built a sukkah where we stayed with a bunch of friends in a cabin up in the mountains, and when we got home we didn't stay the whole week up there for Sukkot, so we had built this little sukkah in there to eat under and talk under and party under. But then when we came home, we were kind of tired, so we threw something up pretty fast, and it's just a little sheer piece of fabric with some pretty flowers and some white lights, and of course our Sukkot banner. So I'm going to take you through some of the things that we did during Sukkot. I'm also going to take you through some of the meaning of Sukkot. As most of you know, a Sukkot is also known as a Feast of Tabernacles, a Feast of Booths, or Feast of Ingathering. And the command in which we learn what we're supposed to do during Sukkot is found in the Torah. So it's found in Exodus 23:16. You can find that in your scriptures. You find it in Leviticus 23. You find it also in Leviticus 22. So there's more scriptures that you can locate. In the Torah, it tells us that Sukkot is on the 15th day of the 7th month. So there again, we find that calendar is pretty important, so that you know what month is the 7th month, or how to find that month, and then how to find the 15th day of that month. So it starts on the 15th day and it goes for 7 days. And then, as we saw in the Shimini video that I did, the last day of Sukkot is the 8th day. That is Shemini Atzeret. That is its own little separate holiday or holy day. But Sukkot goes for 7 days. The first day of Sukkot is a high Shabbat. The last day of Sukkot, Shemini Atzeret, is a high Shabbat. And also, Sukkot is what's called a pilgrimage feast. So Psalms 81 confirms for us when we are supposed to be celebrating Sukkot. And these pilgrimage feasts, they are in the middle of the month, when the moon is full, so that when you travel, you have light as you travel. There is nothing like some light at night. When there is no light and it is pitch black, you don't want to move anywhere. You just want to stay put, huddle down, and especially if you're outside, which Isaac and the girls and I lived outside for several years. So that full moon at the middle of the month is extremely important if you want to travel and do anything outside. So he's incredibly smart. He is the creator of all things, and he's telling us that he's going to provide for us the lesser light during the Moedims that he's asking us to travel for. So what a great provision is that. He cares about us, and he wants to give us provision in order for us to do what he's asking us to do. And one of those things, he's asking us to travel, so therefore there's the light in the middle of the month to do it. It's just easy, it's simple. Very interesting that Yehovah uses the word Chag, which means pilgrim or pilgrimage, in reference to only 3 feasts, to only 3 Moedim actually, and those 3 Moedim are the ones that are known as the pilgrimage feast, because that's what he's calling them. He wants you to pilgrimage up to Jerusalem for these 3 feasts so that he can meet with us and we can meet with each other. The first one is, what is it? Yes? Feast of Unleavened Bread, that's right. Hag Chamatzot. And then the second one, yes, Shavuot. Yep, Pentecost, a lot of people know it as. And the third one, the last pilgrimage feast for the year, is none less then Sukkot. Absolutely. So this is literally commanded vacations, people. He is commanding you to vacation 3 times a year, at least, for these pilgrimage feasts. The other feasts, the other Moedim, not so much pilgrimage, long vacation idea, but man, you get 3 vacations a year according to Yehovah. So Yehovah says to travel to Jerusalem for this feast, right? Right. So why aren't we all traveling to Jerusalem yet? Well, for one thing, he hasn't restored our fortunes. So even if Isaac and I were to want to go to Jerusalem for the Feast of Sukkot, which of course we would love to, I want to more when the king returns than I do right now. But just by chance, we would want to go right now. There's no way that we could afford it. I mean, I can barely afford gas to put in the car to get to, an hour to town. So he's going to have to restore our fortunes before we can do that. So his timing, we'll just wait. I'm patient. He knows our hearts. He knows that we want to be in line and in step with him. So we will just wait and be patient until he restores our fortunes. So we can do that, or until the king comes. And when the king comes back, it won't be an issue. We'll be going there lickety-split, easy. It'll be so wonderful. And that'll be a glorious day, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But for now, what we do is we practice going up to the feast, okay? So we actually just practice getting out of our comfort zone and traveling a little bit to meet with the body, to meet with others who believe this way and who want to celebrate the ways of Yehovah. So I think the travel is a fabulous idea to do, just to practice the idea of getting out of off your couch and packing up a little bit and going to celebrate this incredible Feast of Tabernacles with others. So one thing that Papa makes pretty clear is that when you show up to one of his feasts, and I believe especially the three pilgrimage feasts, I am not supposed to show up empty-handed, as in just show up with, hey, look here, I'm here. You're supposed to bring him something. You're supposed to bring a gift. So this is a challenge for a lot of people who show up pretty empty-handed to his things, either empty-handed or with little thought and little creativity. And why do we choose to give him so little? I don't know. I personally want to give him my very best. I want to put my very best foot forward. So I try to do everything that the king might see as something that I might present to the king. I try to do with my very best ability, with all my creativity, all the resources that I happen to have, which isn't much, but with what I do have, I give him what I can. So remember, when you go up to the feast, when you come before the king, do not come empty-handed. I've had people bring, when we host feasts, I've had people bring not just monetary donations to cover the cost of the feast, that's one thing, but extra and above is another, to bless another person, to bless the host. Oh, that is just, you don't know how that just affects us when people do that. But also, like when you come up, we've had people bring presents to him, honestly, with letters, and other people, show up with a new outfit on, or some sort of food item, or some sort of creative artwork. I've had people bring artwork before. So be creative when you come up before the king, and don't show up empty-handed. In fact, we are supposed to show up with a gift in proportion to how we've been blessed. So if you've been blessed with a lot of money and you're wealthy, or you're well off, or that is not your struggle. You're supposed to show up with a gift that is in proportion to how well you have been blessed by the king. Say you've been gifted with creativity or some talent or something, you're supposed to be giving him part of that, in proportion to how you've been blessed. So be really creative with how you present what you give to the king on these high days, and don't become one of these tight-fisted givers, very, what do you call them, minimalists? No, Don't be a minimalist. Nobody likes a minimalist. No, give generously and you will receive generously. You give and it's like giving him the open door to pour out his blessings upon you, to open the floodgates to bless you. When you give generously, then he is so much more able to work with this system of love that he's got going on, which is a give and receive wheel. A wheel within a wheel, give, receive, give, receive. The more you give, the more you can receive. So I truly believe the more you give, the more you're going to be happy, the more that Yahweh can bless you in ways that you don't even know you need blessed. So give generously when you come up to the feast. To the host that hosted. I know what it's like to pull out all the stops and to give everything. And I feel so filled when people respond and they're thankful and they give back so that I can continue to do what I do. Talk about thanks. Talk about filling another person and loving another person. Okay, in the command on what we're supposed to do for Sukkot, one of the main commands is on the first day of Sukkot. Notice on the first day of Sukkot. It's a Shabbat, right? It's a high Shabbat. We are to take the branches of beautiful trees and basically put a covering over us, build a sukkah, build a booth, and we are supposed to, live in it for these 7 days. Now the rabbis have complicated everything and said, well, you have to have 3 walls and you have to be able to see the stars and yada yada yada. But if you search the Torah and you search exactly what Yehovah has said to do, he doesn't say those things. So we're in North Idaho, not exactly a lot of palm trees around here. So we do the best we can in that we find the beautiful trees that are around us. And we build a sukkah. That's what we did during Sukkot this year at the little cabin where we stayed. We went out into the woods and got many different kinds of branches from many different kinds of trees and put them up over us. One of the things that I really like about the idea of getting that and not putting them in water so they last forever is that the sukkah, I think he really intended it. Not only did he intend for us to remember that we were once slaves in Egypt and that he had made us live in tents and sukkahs on our way out through the wilderness, but it's temporary. So all the leaves and depending on what kind of branches we get, the evergreens stay a lot longer and pretty much forever. But the deciduous trees and their leaves start to crumble up and kind of get crispy over the top of you. And I think this is good because the branches, as they start to die, and by the end of 7 days, we don't want them around anymore, we want to get rid of them, represents the temporary life here. That we really, these 7 millenniums, it's temporary until Yahovah comes and brings the new heaven and the new earth and the new Jerusalem, and he lives with us forever and restores paradise to its full. For now, it's kind of temporary. So I really like the aspect of that, with putting up the leaves and the boughs that don't last very long, and they tend to get ugly pretty quick. But we just got to remember that this is temporary. This whole thing is temporary until Yahweh comes back and makes everything new again. Again, not brand new things, but all things made new. The feasts are all basically parables. They are shadow pictures of good things to come, but they're like parables on some level. They're telling a story. They're trying to help us understand what is going to happen at the end of the age. The fall feasts are. The spring feasts reveal what did happen. and they pointed towards what would happen when Yahshua came. But for us now living on this side of the fulfillment of the spring feast and this side of Yahshua, they are basically to remind us of what Yahshua has done. And the fall feasts are what we look forward to being fulfilled someday. So in order to understand the meaning of Sukkot, let's look at the words. Let's look at what Tabernacles means and Sukkot means.
On this Feast of Tabernacles.
It's very basic. The theme of Sukkot is living together. It is just like a bride and groom who get married and then they figure out how to live together, right? So the theme of Sukkot at its heart is about living together with Elohim and living together as a community, as Israel. Because someday we're going to do this for real, forever. And so we're practicing right now. The whole goal of Yahweh is to live with his creation. And this feast is a time to practice showing up to live with him and live with the community of Israel. So I'm going to tell you a little short, quick story about my childhood. When I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with this, but do you remember camp meetings? So I went to Gladstone camp meeting as a kid. In fact, that's where Isaac and I met at 14 years old. But Gladstone camp meeting in Oregon is just, it was an incredible experience as a kid back in the 70s, late 60s, 70s, 80s. There was nothing like it. And it impressed on me so many things as a kid that have influenced who I am today. Imagine that there was, back in the day, there was about 8,000 people who believed the same, who stayed all week long. There was a 10-day stay, and they stayed all week long together. They ate together, they did dishes together, they went to meetings together, they sang together, they walked around together, they met new people, made friends. It was incredible. It was a really neat time. And then on the weekends, it would the population would surge up to about 13,000, I believe, on Shabbat or Sabbath for the Sabbath day. And I have to tell you that those memories do not go away. I have so many memories of so many incredible friends. I mean, I could list them, and maybe some of you are watching who we are friends at camp meeting before, and who have stayed good friends. Now, I don't believe that camp meeting was originally Sukkot. I don't believe that's what they were trying to do, but I do believe that it is inherently part of the fabric of our being to want to be in community together. Yahweh made us this way. And so I think that camp meeting, the way I experienced it, is what I am perceiving Sukkots should look like. You should have like a big pavilion with lots of meetings going on, lots of beautiful singing. You should have departments where the kids can go and be with kids their own age and learn about Yahshua and Yahovah and the story. You should have, just late night walks with friends in the summer evening. And one of my favorite things was at night my dad did an incredible job on this little cabin that he renovated. It was passed down from generation to generation, and he renovated this cabin, and up in the loft, my sister and I would sleep, and with the window open. It was summer, it was hot, so we would listen to the moms and putting the kids to bed at night, the clink and clatter of them doing dishes, and babies crying, and toddlers being sung to sleep. And then you'd hear the teenagers walking down the road together laughing, and you'd hear out in the far distance you have people with guitars playing, singing, and the smells, the sounds, the senses. I'll never forget standing in line for a lemon yogurt ice cream. And you'd stand in line forever, but at the old ice cream shop, or the Schamburger stand where you'd smell the Schamburgers being, flipped by Mr. Twing. So back then we actually had an ice house, and they would chip blocks of ice, and you had boys that would bring their wagons, their red wagons, and the ice breaker At the time it was Brad, I remember when I was little, and he would break the ice and put it in the boys' red wheelbarrows, and the boys would tote those wheelbarrows around for the moms and the wives to buy so that they could keep their food on ice. So yeah, that dates me, doesn't it? In fact, I got my first graphic arts job through Loma Linda there at camp meeting, and they have a little grocery store. And I got my first graphic design job there when I was really little. So, and I got paid for it, $10. It was so cool. Made a Loma Linda sign. But anyway, when I think of Sukkot and what the potential of Sukkot is, I think back to camp meeting, my camp meeting experience. It was an incredible experience that I want to transfer all my knowledge and all my understanding of into how I celebrate Sukkot and what I want to invite people into. So that is one reason we did this huge campaign this year to get people to come to Sukkot. Of course, I guess it wasn't the right time because it didn't actually fly, but in some day in the future, I intend to host a Sukkot, perhaps in Jerusalem, yes? Maybe that's where all of this will happen, and it won't be by my doing it all. Maybe it will be just because we're doing what we're commanded to do and show up to Jerusalem, and under the watchful eye of the King, we will have that camp meeting experience. So until then, I'll keep trying to invite Israel to come experience and grow a community of people to celebrate camp meeting, Sukkot in camp meeting style. So I don't know about you, but that sounds awfully good to me. But for now, before we all get to go to Jerusalem and have the perfect Sukkot, we practice living together. What is it that we practice when we practice living together? Well, we practice being patient with each other. Yeah. We practice communication. Our communication skills get a nice little, polishing during Sukkot. We learn from each other, learn different things. Maybe somebody knows how to do X and you don't, and they can teach you. And perhaps you know something that they don't, and you can teach them. And then we also serve each other during Sukkot. If everyone was coming in selfish and wanting other people to cater to them, there'd be no rock there, right? So we learn to serve each other. This last Sukkot, Seth served us. He actually bought all the ingredients for one of the breakfasts and treated everyone who had come to Sukkot to a breakfast. It was an incredible breakfast, but he served us. And we were so thankful, and he loved doing it. During Sukkot, we tell stories of our past, and then we make shared memories, and we basically just love each other. Right? Right. I got to learn how to play a new board game. I honestly don't remember what the game was right now, but I know at the time Vicki and Joe taught my family and I how to play a new board game. It was way fun, and during that incredible breakfast that Seth had made, I learned how to make an omelet. Water, steam, who knew? Who knew you needed a little of that to make a great omelet? Oy vey. It was truly the best omelet in the world. I've never had such a good omelet as what Seth made. So he taught me how to make it. We learned that Isaac loves bunnies. Yes, it was on a farm where we were, and there were a ton of bunnies in this barn, and he just loved to sit with them and let them crawl all over him. So who knew? We learned because we were at Sukkot together, living together. How fun. Section from my little Haggadah from Sukkot about what it might be like during Sukkot when the kingdom comes back. So during that 1,000 years of Sukkot, oh, by the way, I need my glasses, sorry. So during that 1,000 years of Sukkot, we will travel from all of the world together in one place. Jerusalem. We will build sukkahs to stay in for the week. Our children will be able to run free in the streets, playing, dancing, and laughing clear into the evening. Music will be made, dancing will be joyous, savory aromas will fill the air as we cook, bake, and dine together. We will take warm walks in the evening under the stars, and we will hear music and partake in the light shows coming from the temple and the paved streets. not even the temple, from Yahshua himself, yes? We will gather in local markets, cafes, and restaurants to fellowship, browse, and relax. Our daughters and sons will find friends and spouses there. We will discover community and have a shared experience to recall in ages forward. Our hearts will find special like hearts and not be lonely anymore. Man, won't that be nice? Not be lonely anymore. Memories will be made, long-lost friends will embrace, and laughter will flow like water. We will be known, validated, and valued. Patriarchs of old will mingle with us. The King Yahshua will lounge and dine in our sukkahs with us. The children, as he is talking to us, will fall asleep into the sounds of the low chitter-chatter and some far-off musician playing into the night. Glorious meetings will take place, not like stagnant meetings of church revivals, but more like huge concerts where heroes of old will be welcomed to the stage like rock stars. We will sit breathless as we listen to them tell us the story in their own words. And every night the King will take the stage and get the honor, praise, and stage he deserves. He will teach us, and he will love to be with us. We will hate to leave and go home. The hustle and bustle of Israelites everywhere. Safe, free. I can only dream and hope that we can begin to taste the beauty of Sukkot this side of the King's return, so that my heart can find Sukkot joy. Makes you want that, doesn't it? So we find Sukkot in Revelation, we find Sukkot in eschatology. So let's look at Revelation 22, 1 and 2. And I'm going to read you 22. It says, Then I heard a great shout in heaven, Behold, the tabernacle of Yahweh is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yahweh himself shall be with them, and he will be their Elohim. This is during the eternal Feast of Tabernacles, Tishrei 15. The 15th day of the 7th month will start the new time. We also see Sukkot in eschatology when we look at some of the old the prophets. Look at Zechariah. So look at this. Check this out. This is kind of wild. Then the survivors from all the nations that have attacked Jerusalem will go up year after year to worship the King. Yahweh Almighty. I need my glasses. And then Yahweh Almighty, and to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. Check it out. See, the nations are going to come up. The survivors of the nations are going to come up to celebrate tabernacles. If any of the peoples of the earth do not go up to Jerusalem to worship, and to worship the King, Yahweh Almighty, they will have no rain. If the Egyptian people do not go up to Sukkot and take part, they will have no rain. Yahweh will bring on them the plague he inflicts on the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacle. This will be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. Pretty wild, huh? So, how is that right now? I mean, people aren't going to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. Could they possibly be enduring some sort of plague now because they're not doing what Papa is asking them to do? But notice it's in eschatology. It's talking about when the King returns. It actually is not something buried in the past for the ancient Israelites. It's actually something in the future that the scriptures tells us we're going to be doing. So why not start learning how to do this now, people? Learn how to Sukkot now. Yay. Okay, so Sukkot is the consummation of the wedding that happened on Yom Kippur. So in eschatology, which Isaac and I are still trying to do our little timeline for you, but in eschatology, if you look at the eschatology through the eyes of the feast, you will discover that basically something legal was done on Yom Kippur, which was the union of Israel and Elohim, Yahshua, the kinsman redeemer. And then you have this live together. So what do? You go, you get married, you have this incredible party, and then the bride and groom leave and go live together. That's the heart of Sukkot. So you see that Sukkot is the consummation of the wedding that happened on Yom Kippur. Sweet, huh?
Well, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. There you go. To you.
So Yeshua's birthday was during Sukkot. It was on the first day of Sukkot. He got circumcised on the 8th day of Sukkot, he was circumcised on the last great day on Shemini Atzeret. He was born, though, and you can figure this out through biblical math and find out when Miriam was pregnant, when she went to see Elizabeth. But he was born on the first day of Sukkot, High Shabbat. And I can't think of a better birthday present for Papa to give Yahshua than on the first day of Sukkot in some future day, that he gives Yahshua the permission to take the earth. That, to me, I think would be an incredible present and something that lines up with everything that I know and understand about end-time eschatology through the eyes of the feast. How neat will that be? He'll say, "Mount your steed, son. It's time to go. Everything has been fulfilled. All the prerequisites to your return are fulfilled. You are now released to go. Take your bride and go live together and take over the world and show the world how it's done." So rule, put the wicked under your feet, and bring things back and begin to restore things. So I love that part of the Feast of Sukkot. So just as a quick refresher on the end-time eschatology through the eyes of the feast would be first fall feast is Yom Teruah, Feast of Trumpets. Feast of Trumpets is all about the return of the King. So he comes on Feast of Trumpets to take his bride, to redeem us from the earth. And then we go with him to heaven, and we spend those 10 days of awe in heaven. And as we learned, if you want to understand what we learn now this year about the 10 days of awe, go and look at my Yom Kippur video. But during those 10 days of awe is the incredible trial for those who saw him come at trumpets and believed at that moment. They are going to go through tribulation to prove out their newfound faith. And then they will meet us up in heaven on Yom Kippur for the great wedding feast, for that legal, final, done deal. We are going to be legally get his last name and release Hasatan's claim on us forever. So during those 10 days of awe, the bowls of wrath are poured out over the floor of heaven. And so now we pray very hard for everyone to come to understand that Yahshua is the prophet that Moses spoke about, that we must Shema before those 10 days of awe. We don't want them to have to go through that time. So we'll do everything we can to try to communicate that to our brother Judah and anybody else that will listen. Actually, it has to be somebody who's keeping the Torah. So then the great wedding feast happens, and you have 5 days of party. 5 days of party with people who kept Papa's law. Then you have the first day of Sukkot come, and Sukkot being all about living together. The bride and groom are not going to live in heaven together. They're going to live on earth together. That's what Revelation says. And the king is the bridegroom, and he is going to reign on earth, and the bride is going to reign with him. So therefore, on the first day of Sukkot, this is what we see and what we understand is that he's going to come take this planet. He's going to mount his steed, dip his robe in blood, mount his steed, and tell us to get on our steeds, and he's going to say, "Watch me take the planet." And we're going to ride and watch him take the planet. It's going to be a glorious day. So, and then Shemini Atzeret, again, the last great day of Sukkot. This is all about after the 1,000-year period is over, where Yahshua reigns and does it his way and brings back his father's law. Eighth day, 8th millennium is when Yahweh comes and he brings a new Jerusalem. There's a final great war. And then the Hasatan is actually released, the dragon is released, and then Yahweh destroys the dragon finally, and all wicked. And we will live with Yahweh on a new earth and a new heaven and with a new Jerusalem. So we'll have the whole family will be together, 8th millennium and on. And not all new things, but all things made new. So there you have it, little eschatology for you. Okay, so many people out there would like to know, what would Jesus do? What WWJD? But in reality, we should be asking, what would Yahshua do? WWYD, right? What would Yahshua do? There, I had it right. I said it before and I didn't get it right. But anyway, what would Yahshua do during Sukkot? Okay, so let's look. So actually in the scriptures it tells us, John 7:2-43 says that Yahshua, he lived in a sukkah. So if you love the Messiah and you want to do exactly what he's doing, what should you be doing? Yeah. You should be living in a sukkah during Sukkot. That will show people that you love the Messiah and that you are doing what he is doing. You were doing what he did. Okay, and second, in Luke 9:51-62, we see that he went up to the feast. So if you're a believer, then and you're keeping Yehovah's laws, then you need to show up to the feast. And then, guess what else he did? He taught at the feast. Yes, he taught at the feast. So, as a person who loves Yahshua, who's learning about the feast, the Moedim, the ways of Yehovah, the law, then once you know it, first you have to learn it, then you have to live it, and then you teach it, then you tell it. So once you're in that category, then you begin to speak, and you begin to speak the truth to the nations and to the world and those around you and your community around you, and you bring them to the feast. Pretty easy. Do what Yahshua did. Okay, so I'm just going to cover just real briefly some objections to people who don't want to celebrate Sukkot. We won't mention names, but anyway, I'm just going to briefly hit on them. I hit on them a lot during our Sukkot campaign, our National Melchizedek Sukkot camp meeting campaign for this last year, 2016. You can see all those videos there if you want, and it kind of goes into more depth. But just briefly, these are some of the objections that people have to celebrating Sukkot. Number one, I'm not Jewish. As if these feasts are for the Jews. Well, unfortunately, that's what we've been kind of led to believe, but honestly, they're not just for the Jews. They are Yehovah's feasts. They're not the feasts of the Jews. So because they're Yehovah's feasts and I am a daughter of Yahweh, the king, then these are my feasts. These are your feasts if you are a daughter of the king and you're obeying him. In Leviticus 23:1-2, it says that the feasts are for, or the Moedim are for all of Israel, not just the 2 tribes making up Judah, but the 10 tribes who are scattered among the nations. So in John 5:1 or John 7:2, it says, the translators have named it, they call it the Feast of the Jews. But unfortunately, the translators didn't understand culture, context, or Hebrew terms, and they didn't have any clue when they translated it that these were not just feasts of the Jews, they were feasts of Yehovah. An important thing to remember when you read your scriptures, go back to the original. Go back to the original to really figure out what it means. Another objection was, I can't afford it. Well, if you are obeying Yehovah's law and you're living in covenant with him, then one of the things that you'll be doing all year long is actually putting tithe money away. And his tithe money, he's very clear what you're supposed to be doing with your tithe money. You're supposed to be saving your tithe money to spend at the feast. So to get yourself up to the feast, to buy food for you to spend, to eat before him at the feast, to buy new clothes for the feast, to help others get to the feast. So he's very clear that he has made a savings plan for you so that you can celebrate at the feast within style too. And also, I just want to mention here on this topic, do you remember your pagan days? And how much you spent back then celebrating those things? And now, if you're a believer, you've come across, you become a Hebrew per se, you've crossed over, and now you're celebrating Yehovah's ways. If you're going to be saying, I don't have money, and you spent all that money back then, you have some answering to do to Yehovah, I believe. He's very clear that he wants your worship, and your worship, a lot of it is where do you put your money. So your money back then went to worship another god. Your money right now needs to go to worship to Yehovah. So don't tell me you don't have any money. I've been so broke before, and I still pull out all the stops because I'm saving. I'm saving that tithe money. Even if it's nickels and dimes, I'm saving that tithe money to do the best that I can to provide for my family a great celebration during those feasts, during those Moedim times, so that we can honor our God of choice, our Elohim of choice, which is Yahovah Elohim. So don't use that excuse anymore that you don't have money, that you can't afford it. Remember your pagan days, people, and be in repentance. And man, I owe him so much because of what I used to do. I bet you do too. So one of the objections to celebrating Sukkot is the fact that I'm too busy. I'm too busy, right? Everybody says it. Everybody says, I'm too busy, I'm too busy, I'm too busy. They come up to the last moment if they've scheduled with me or they've made reservations or they bought tickets, and then they go and they say, oh man, I didn't realize I forgot I had this to do, or something came up. Which means that you didn't put it on your appointment book, you didn't put it on your calendar to make sure that you would show up to this, and you put it in pencil if you did, so that if something else better came up, you could just forego the Moedim and because something better came up or something more urgent came up. But let me tell you, there is nothing more urgent than you showing up to the Moedim. There is nothing more urgent than you showing up to the Moedim. This is where the rubber of repentance hits the road, people. You've got to stop what you're doing and show up when he's telling you to show up. Okay? I know that the end of the age will be just like the days of Noah. The scripture says so. People were giving in marriage, and they had this business thing to take care of, and they were doing this and that and the other thing, and they had no time for Yehovah. And that is exactly how it's going to be now. So if you find yourself having no time for Yehovah, no time for his feasts, and trust me, there's a lot of feasts all year long. There's a lot of Moedim all year long that you're required to show up to if you're keeping his commandments and his ways. It's going to keep you hopping all year long, I know. But if you're saying I'm too busy for those things, and one day a week for an hour or two a week is pretty much all I can handle, then let me warn you, people, you are not in covenant. You are not keeping his ways. You are not keeping his laws. I would really, really look hard at my life if I was you and I wasn't doing that, and read your scriptures and discover what Yahweh requires of you. And I think you might need to make some new habits and let go of some things and show up when he tells you to show up. Drop everything. It's the most important thing you'll ever do, because in that dropping everything, you're telling him that he is more important to you than anything else. It's all about time. If you don't understand, watch my Shimony video. We talked all about time being love. Did I say enough? Okay, and then there's the objection that says that when people say, I'm too tired. And let me tell you, I know what that feels like. I am so tired. In fact, I'm tired right now. But Yahshua says, I'm probably tired because I'm seeking all the things that I need to take care of myself, right? So he says, what do you do in that situation where you do need things and you are tired? He says, seek first his kingdom and all these things will be given to you. Right? So you seek first his kingdom and his righteousness or his right doings, and then all these things like clothes and water and food and shelter and all those things will be given to you. And you don't have to run as the pagans do in seeking of these things. Now, I know what it's like to reduce the things that I think I need and things I want. So I'm not living in luxury by any means, but I am not starving and I have shelter. So when we say we're too tired, we need to rethink about what we're spending our time on that's making us tired. And then remember what Yahshua says in Matthew 11:28. He says, come, all those who are weary and tired, and I will give you rest. Right? So in Hebrews 12:1-4, Shaul says, run the race, right? Well, if you're running a race, you know you're going to get tired. If this is what this is like, if this is what this walk is like, that it's a race, and you're actually going to be running full steam, that means you're probably going to be tired, right? But we get to come to Yahshua to be filled. He will give us energy to do the ways of Yahweh, to do the things, to show up when he's asking us to show up. He'll give us the strength and the energy we need to do that. I believe that. So the number one reason that I hear people say as to why they don't need to celebrate Sukkot is that they celebrate the Messiah's birth on December 25th. Okay, people, are you so ignorant that you don't know by now that his birthday was not on December 25th, that all the pagan sun gods were born on that day, and that to honor that day is violation of Yahweh's Torah, of his covenant, and a slap in the face to Yahshua, because Yahshua is the real Messiah, not Jesus, who was born on December 25th. Yahshua was born on the first day of Sukkot. So why wouldn't believers in the Messiah, people who say they love the Messiah, why wouldn't you want to come over to Sukkot and celebrate his birthday when he was really born? I know, traditions are hard to break. I know, it would require new habits. I know. I've done it, and I've done it with kids. And trust me, it is such a trade up. Your heart will trade up, because Sukkot is so much better than December 25th ever was, ever could be. Because that's not real, that's not true, that's not a holy day sanctified by Yehovah. Sukkot is. Oh, may you have eyes to see and ears to hear. It is not about what is convenient for you. It is about what is right. It is about doing what is right. So I have just one little quick thing to say about Sukkot and children, and actually it really affects all the Moedim. In Deuteronomy 4:9 and 11:19, Yahweh makes it very clear that we are to impress his ways on our children, right? Right. We're supposed to teach his ways to our children. If we are not teaching his ways to our children, and we're not impressing his ways, his rhythm, his moedim on our children, but we're teaching them other holidays, other God's holidays, we're in for a lot of trouble, and we're going to be held accountable for that. Yahshua himself said in Matthew 29, he said, "Do not prevent the little children from coming to me." So if you're teaching them, your children, that December 25th is the day that he was born, and you're kind of pushing them that way, you are pushing them that way, you're preventing them from coming to his true birthday, from coming to obey the true law, to obeying Yehovah. So you're preventing your children from understanding and knowing the ways of Yehovah, which in the end, what did he say? It'd be better if a millstone was tied around your neck and you were drowned. I think that's a big deal. So I think if I were you, I would look real closely at what the scripture says, and I would begin to train your children in the ways of Yehovah, or you are going to be held accountable, and that is not going to be a good day for you. So I pray that you have eyes to see and ears to hear. Okay, so I just wanted to walk through a few traditions that we do during Sukkot. So the first night of Sukkot, obviously, or the first day of Sukkot, we build a sukkah, right? So we actually eat under it, and we have our parties under it. The sukkah kind of changes in look every year. Someday I would really like a storage unit where I can put all these things and get out the same sukkah every year, but where we are kind of morphs, and so it kind of changes every time. But we build a sukkah that we eat under, and that we talk under, and that we party under, and we do that as much as possible. And the scripture says we are to rejoice. So I know that I have a lot to learn about rejoicing. I'm a white girl from the Northwest, so I have a lot to learn about what it's like to rejoice. Like, I don't know. I need a little more than that. I don't know, but rejoicing for me looks like great food, great atmosphere, that sort of thing. But I do have a lot to learn. So part of the things that we do to rejoice, of which I have a lot to learn on what it means to rejoice, but for this white girl here in North Idaho, this is how we rejoice. We have a birthday party for Yahshua. Oh yes, and I'll tell you how we do that birthday party, but we have a birthday party where we dance and we have music. During the week we make a rejoice list. So we look at what things we have to rejoice over since last Sukkot. We make a list and we write it down and we keep it so we don't forget. Help the kids rejoice. We have a little, try to have a little camp store with goodies, and let me show you. I actually have made some money, some Hebrew shekels, And the kids get these. I do what's called payout. So after I speak, or after we do something fun like sing, or I don't know, anything that requires some participation like dancing or whatever, or writing or doing art or crafts or whatever, I will give the kids some shekels, and each one gets shekels according to how they participated, and then they put in an envelope, and after once a day they get to come to the store and they get to trade their shekels for little goodies. So I'm helping the kids pay attention. I'm giving them a reason to listen and be part of it, and I'm helping them rejoice because they don't forget that. They love payout. And another way that we rejoice during Sukkot is we have this great little tradition that has just started a couple years back. Was we now make mini sukkahs. We have a mini sukkah building contest. So I just want to show you. This is Isaac and my mini sukkah that we built for the contest this year. And look, I will bring it close. Oh, check it out. Oops. Check it out. See, look at that. Isn't that cool? Okay, so we're cheapy people, but you have to build it from anything you find in the forest. So, and let me show you Hadassah and Zane's. Whoops. And frankly, Hadassah and Zane won the contest. See, isn't that cool? Look at what they did. So nice. They had a little campfire going in there. And but we have a mini sukkah building contest, so it's so fun. Everybody loves to do that, and we spend a whole afternoon going out in the woods, finding stuff from the nature, and with hot glue building some sukkahs. So we also make light catchers or citrus sun catchers with tissue paper, and we can hang them in the window and bring in some light. To rejoice, I also, I do my Haggadahs for it, my little printouts, so that we remember what Sukkot is all about. But I also make, for all the feasts, I've made posters. So basically put it up on our wall to remind us of the Torah command, and I've got a little feast brief here with traditions that our family does, the foods we eat, and then the deep meaning of it, the prophetic layers of it, and what it means, so we will not forget. So that's one way that we rejoice. So another thing that was really cool this year is a lady and her husband from Canon Keepsakes sent our Sukkot a bunch of totes. And I know she sent a whole bunch to all different Sukkots all over the country. So we buy things sometimes for the feast, which is part of our rejoicing. This was a gift from her, and I'll put the link up here so you can check out their website. Another tradition that we have is we eat a ton of lemon during the week of Sukkot. So the etrog is a big thing in Israel during the feast of Sukkot, and we have just can't afford etrogs, and I know that it's rabbinical on some level, but it's a beautiful thing to just set apart some food that is special for each feast, and one of those is lemon during Sukkot. So we have lemon chicken, lemon rice, lemon bars, lemon this, lemon that, and lemon curd. Oh, on lemon curd on toast, to die for. We also eat bread every day in honor of the bread of life, who was, remember, the bread of life was born in Bethlehem, which means house of bread. He was laid in not a manger, but in a bread trough or a bread bowl, the bread of life right there. Oh my, how can you not love this feast? This is just incredible. It's so cool. And you can't take anything from Sukkot and apply it to December 25th because they're at odds. So, but it's so cool. Bread of life. So we eat bread all week long. And remember Yahshua. So Maggie, who wants to be a barista, has invested in all the things that she needs in order to make a camp cafe. So we have an organic camp cafe where she makes all kinds of things for us to drink that are good and nummy. One of the other things we do during Sukkot is we read all the scriptures about Yahweh's Sukkah, so about his tabernacle. And there is a ton of verses here. So Yahweh has a sukkah. He invites us under his sukkah. He's going to protect us under his sukkah. And I just put up all the text here, and you can read it and study Yahweh's sukkah and his tabernacle. We do that. Sukkot is all about light as well. So we do a ton of little white lights, as you can see, and we have the house full of little white lights. So Isaac and I have a little tradition that we do between the two of us. When either one of us comes home after dark, we will leave a little candle burning outside And it basically, as you're driving up, it kind of shows that person who's driving up that the person waiting can't wait to see you, that they're excited to see you and they want to welcome you home and come join them for an evening inside. So one of my traditions for Sukkot is to actually put a little candle burning in the sukkah when we go to bed, and it's simply to just say to Yahweh, to Yahshua, to the rock, I invite you to come and sit in my sukkah with me, to come into our home, to come into our lives, and I can't wait for you to come in. You're welcome here, and I'm thinking about you. I would love to find a community of people who would love to do the sukkah hop idea. So we would come to your sukkah to see your sukkah and what you have created and get a meal, to eat a meal under your sukkah and do some evening events with you. And then you come share under our sukkah. Turning towards the ways of Yahweh, I get to celebrate Yeshua's birthday party and invite my children into the true day that he was born, and a time when we can set it apart and celebrate his birth. We don't feel like we're missing out on anything because we don't celebrate the pagan day of December 25th. We're not missing out on anything. We're trading up. There's more here, much more. So it's just incredible. There's so much more for us if we celebrate things when Yehovah is telling us to celebrate them. So looking at what happened during Sukkot, we felt it was totally acceptable to celebrate the birth of Yeshua. Yeshua's birthday party is really a fun thing to look forward to. So on the first night of Sukkot, we throw a party, and I just wanted to kind of just tell you a little bit about what we do during the party. Back in the ancient days, they didn't do cakes. One recipe I did find was called a basbousa cake, and it is an older recipe from that area. So it's kind of coconut with semolina flour, and it has lemon syrup sauce stuff that you pour on top. It's incredible. So I make that for each birthday party that we have for Yeshua, so that the girls know that basbousa cake belongs to Yeshua on that day. We sign a birthday card for Yeshua. So literally this birthday card has been going for several years, many, many years. And everybody who comes to our birthday party for him signs this and tells Yeshua happy birthday. And I fully intend on handing this, and hopefully it's really thick by then, but I fully intend to hand this to the king someday, along with all the other things that I am collecting to give him at his coronation as gifts. This is one of them, and it's really precious because people put in here their thoughts and how much they love him and how much they can't wait for him to come back and how thankful they were that he was born here and lived among us. So this is a great thing to do during Sukkot, during the birthday party. We watch movies about, now trust me, I know that some of this stuff is in error, but we let our girls watch it and we pause it and we make sure they know what things are true and what things are not, and kind of fill in the gap there so that they can just have eyes to see and ears to hear when they look at these things. But they don't need to feel like they're missing out, because this is a good story. The birth of Yeshua. How amazing is that? Actually, during the week of Sukkot, we listened to Advent music, so I didn't throw all that music out, all the music that's saved for that nasty 5-month holiday. I took the best of them that talk about the Messiah and talk about his birth, Advent music, and we listened to that during Sukkot. So when my girls hear that music, they think it belongs to Sukkot, not December 25th. It's called reclaiming things, and I can't wait until Israel, really steps up and pulls out all the stops for creating incredible music for his birth and all the other feasts and stuff, so that our hearts can just be led into this songs of gladness and joy and rejoicing over him. But we sing some of those songs that are okay, and we bring our family into that, and it's during that time. Birthday party, we do a little exercise called "What Will You Bring the King?" So it's the idea of we don't want to show up empty-handed to his Moedim, neither do we want to show up empty-handed to his coronation or when he returns, right? So I want to present to him gifts. So in my mind, follow with me here. So how many of you remember the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston? I'm sure a lot of you do, and we watch it during Passover, but one of the neatest things in there that has to do with this idea of what will you bring to the king, I love the visual image that they have there of when Charlton Heston or Moses brings in Ethiopia before the king or before Pharaoh. And here you have these incredible amounts of, cloth and feathers and food, and it just, there's so much stuff that they lay, gold and silver and jewels, and they laid at the king's feet. Almost as, they're giving gifts to the king to make appeasement. I want to bring gifts to the king on the day that he's coronated, when he actually is here in person. I want to physically bring things. So it's not just about, bringing myself. And I know the scriptures talks about how wonderful it is to bring your own heart and the hearts of others to the king. But it also says don't be empty-handed. Don't bring something that costs you nothing. So I intend to have my hands full of things to bring the king and lay before him. And so when we fill out this little thing during his birthdays, what will you bring the king? Will you bring him incredible olive oil that you make? Or maybe you make incredible jewelry. Or maybe you're the best at, honey. Or maybe you're incredible at sewing or sukkah building. Or I don't know, just anything that would please the king. So you're going to bring him these things, and so we write them down so that we can tell the king what we're going to bring, or remember what we're working on that we're going to bring him later when it's done. During his birth, we also talk about his birth. We read the scriptures about his birth, about the events that transpired, about and then we have a little quiz on it. So it's fun. I opened up this quiz. It's 32 questions. So I just love doing the quiz with kids and the youth, and helping them know their Messiah and all the things that are true about him, and the things that we've been taught that are in error. When did the wise men show up? Did they show up when he was, hours old? No, they actually showed up when he was 2 years old in a house. So Yahshua was actually living in a house when they showed up. And when the wise men came, was there only 3? Well, no, it doesn't say there was only 3. And what did they bring? Whose gift did they bring? The silver or the gold, frankincense, and myrrh actually came from somebody in the past. It didn't come from the Magi. It was a gift they were delivering for someone. And in reality, Yahweh used that to protect his son and move them to Egypt and to raise him on. So an incredible time set apart during Sukkot to talk about our Messiah and his birth. And finally, we light the menorah, of course, because it's a high Shabbat. That's what our family does. We choose to light the menorah on all high Shabbats. So we light that menorah on his birthday, during his birthday party. We've been making a baby book for Yahshua. I know that sounds really funny, but it's so cool because you think about what foods did he like to eat? Where did he travel to? Who were his friends? What was the situation of his birth? What was the climate, the temperature, the political atmosphere of him growing up? So, his family tree, this sort of thing. So we make a little baby, we are making a little baby book. I don't have it finished yet, but I think that'd be an incredible present to hand the king someday when he comes. Yahshua's birthday party is hands down extremely fun, and with more people, it's always funner. So the more the merrier. We do a little dance, a sukkah dance that Hadass and I put together and learned at the teepee. We teach people our little sukkah dance.
Go underneath the stars so bright.
So way fun, be creative, and rejoice. It's all about rejoicing.
Let's sukkah, forget the family. Let's sukkah tonight.
So I'm going to take you through the plan and the layers of Sukkot, the prophetic layers of Sukkot. So the Creator's goal from the get-go has always been to live with his creation, right? Right. Okay, so let's review. The original idea was found in Genesis 3:8. It was to have face-to-face communion with Elohim, right? So they're in the garden, they're communing face-to-face, they're walking in the garden with Yehovah, with Papa. That is the heart of the whole thing. That's why he created them, because he wanted fellowship with them. He wanted to extend his, his love, his glory and create more. So the original idea was that we would have face-to-face contact with our Creator. So the past provision found in Leviticus 26:11, Exodus 40:34, all these verses tell us that Yehovah lived with us in where? In a tabernacle in the wilderness. And then he ended up living with us in the temple when King Solomon built it, right? So here you have the original idea. Yehovah wants to live with us. Okay, sin happens, can't do that way anymore. So he has to make a new way. So provision in order to get to live with him is the tabernacle in the wilderness, and then Shekinah glory living with us in the temple. And then you speed ahead again, and Yahshua comes. Yahshua is partial fulfillment of Sukkot, because part of Elohim, Yahshua is Elohim, so he came and he tabernacled among us. He's the bread of life, who was born in a sukkah in Bethlehem. He was laid in a bread trough. I'm going to talk about this all in a little bit. He tabernacles with men for those 27 to 29 years, right? I think it's 29 years he tabernacled with us. The ancients were actually keeping track of ages. Did you know this? And Yeshua was, remember when it talks about Yeshua being 2 years old when the wise men came, when he was 12 years old and he was lost in the temple. So they were counting years. So there's nothing wrong with counting years, people. Or having birthdays, which we're going to talk about in a second. But then look at the present provision. So the present provision for Yehovah to live with us, because remember this is the goal of Sukkot, the present provision for Yehovah to live with his people is to live here in our hearts through the empowerment of the Ruach HaKodesh. So the Ruach HaKodesh now lives in our hearts. So the temple is here. So he lives here with us in our hearts, right? That's the present provision. Find that in Ephesians 3:16-17. All right, so then you look at the future provision, right? The future provision, because remember, the idea, the original idea was to have face-to-face contact with our Creator, and then sin happened. Our choice, or not my choice, but the fall happened, which separated us. Then he has to make provisions for him to live with us until he can restore us, right? So you have the past provision, then of the tabernacle in the wilderness and the temple, and then you have the Yeshua fulfilling that partially by coming to live among us and showing us who Elohim is, and then you have the present provision, which is the rock living right here. But the future provision is found in Revelation 21:3, where it says Yeshua returns and he lives with us for that 1,000 years, and he rules here. So he's going to take over all the governments of the world when he comes back, and he's going to live here and rule here with us for 1,000 years. That is another layer, a prophetic layer of Sukkot. The final provision, the final layer of Sukkot is when Yehovah comes and restores the original idea, right? Face-to-face contact. So in the 8th millennium, he is going to come and live with us forevermore and restore that original idea of living together, right? So all this journey in between, all this hard stuff in between, the plan of redemption and everything, and why it's so important for you to get onto that narrow path and do whatever it takes to be in line with him, so that you can be there when the king comes back, when Yehovah, the high king, comes back and brings a new Jerusalem, makes a new heaven and the new earth for us to live together face to face with him forevermore. Oh, isn't that going to be a wonderful day? Yes, it is. hope of Sukkot, my friends. That is the whole point of the story. The whole point is to get us back to face-to-face contact with Him. As we were created, this is a tangent, bump in the road. Not just a bump, it's been a pretty much of a ride, that's for sure. But He's going to bring it back to His original intention. Never doubt. That He is going to do at all costs. So Sukkot is actually the heart of the entire story. It is the heart of the plan of redemption. Because the heart of Sukkot is about being free to live together. Which means that this feast is super prophetic. And the hope that it brings is something to truly rejoice in. I want to say thank you for watching this whole video on Sukkot. Thank you for participating with me by just traveling through it and remembering with me what a beautiful feast this is. And though it was 1.5 or so weeks ago, it still lingers in my heart, and I really can't wait for you to join us at Sukkot, either here or at the Jerusalem with Yahshua when He comes. So until then, I hope you stay tuned. Next year we'll be trying again to throw a huge national Melchizedek Sukkot camp meeting. So you get on our email list so that you can join us for an incredible Sukkot camp meeting next year. Remember that Sukkot is a trade up for your heart. That the ways of Yahweh are a trade up, not a trade down. Whatever you've been celebrating in the past, whatever pagan things you've been celebrating, as we all did, moving towards Yahweh, moving towards His ways is a trade up. Your heart will rejoice when you give up those things, because your heart was created by the Creator, not by the other gods. And your Creator knows your heart. He knows what you need, and He knows what will turn you on. He knows what will give your heart the reasons to rejoice. They are found in His heart and the fact that He will fulfill His things, His way, at the right time. You just need to be there so that you can experience the transformation that He promised. You will want to be there to live forever with Yahweh. I promise you, it will not let your heart down. Your heart will rejoice forever.
On this Feast of Tabernacles, as I gaze up at the stars, I recall your mighty wonders.
Now we go on to the next feast. For now, I'm going to take this down and we will be done with Sukkot and the fall feast and looking forward to the winter feast. And there's a lot to say about Hanukkah and Purim, so I can't wait to talk to you about them later.
I heard about